Hello and welcome again to F1 2019. It is round 18 of our second season here. Only a few more races left to go. We are coming off of a race just outside the top 5, so not our best finishing position last week. We'll see if we can bounce back here as we hit Mexico, which is a track that we have a decent success on last season. Nice long straights. The S section is a ton of fun to slap on a bit of downforce. But you're going to check the developments. You see everybody's basically leveled off, except for it looks like Alpha's trying to make a late season move there, just because of all the developments that are coming through next season. But we're pretty comfortably in third position, still at risk of being attacked by Leclerc there, only about 30 points up. But we'll see what we can make happen this time around. So let's pop off to qualifying.
Not long now until the lights go green for the Mexico Grand Prix qualifying. So let's get ready and see who has that pole position winning performance in them this afternoon. So then, Ant, it's another Grand Prix weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question is going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice, particularly as we've had a few support races in the meantime. If the brake bias settings, for example, don't take this into account, it's extremely easy to lock up a front wheel and cause a flat spot. Just like that, your lap's ruined, and you've wasted a set of tyres to boot.
Alright, so we rush out midway through lap 1 of Q1 here. The car development has been pretty good, and it's a track that I'm pretty comfortable with, so we shouldn't have the qualifying woes we've had the last couple of weeks of the season here, so we should be able to move on pretty safely into Q2 without burning up too much tire there. But so we come out of that double apex and now into the S section, which is always a lot of fun if you're running a pretty high downforce setup. I'm running kind of mid-range to slightly low. I think I ran 5.4, so 1 click below the middle on the front and 2 clicks below the middle on the back. So running a little bit more of a straight line kind of build, but our development's been pretty good in the aero department. So even with the lower downforce, we have pretty good cornering grip. So across the line there, you see we are actually second best time so far in the session, just behind Valtteri there, about half a second. We go ahead and slap in for a back-to-back one after that, but you can see the long straight we shoot down into turn 1, so it's going to be definitely an opportunity at the start of the race to lose some positions there, because I'm certain that the AI is going to get a better drive off the start-finish line than we are. So we're going to have to kind of defend what positions we can, see if it opens up a little bit of a gap there, but another long straight DRS zone after that little left-right left kind of combo, so that's another good passing location. Then we're into the little double apex of the little triangle section there and into the S's, where it's pretty much one line, but you can really set yourself up out of the last S to get a good run on some cars down this little straight here. No DRS, but it's got a little bit of length to it. And then you're hard on the brakes to the right into the stadium section for the slowest corner on the track. This very tight little hairpin that's followed up by that right-hander. Kind of swing your way out left and then set yourself up for this opening up corner here. Try and get the power down nice and early. You can see the lap delta. Boom. We actually put in the fastest lap so far this session there. So we improved by almost a full second. So we're going to hop ahead to the tail end of Q1 there. And our lap time has been pushed down a little bit, down to P7. But we're pretty much safely through. We're on the same old tires that we ran the first hot laps in. This was just getting out on the track to make sure nobody else threatened our time. We actually improved slightly there, so we'll see where we come across the line in 7th still. So easily on to Q2, where we will try and set a good time on new tire strategy. So here we are, hopping out on our medium tires, crossing the line there. We put ourselves at P3. We're going to go ahead and go for another back-to-back laps on these and see if we can put up a better time, but wasn't much better, so we hopped out at the tail end of the session on softs if it was going to be necessary, but you can see we're sitting comfortably 4th, and we're just kind of letting the clock run here to not burn up this set of tires too much in case, worst case scenario, something happens and we need to grab another set of softs. So we'll go ahead and pop across the line nice and casually, save the engine, and see what our final position, 4th, so easily on in the top half through to Q3, where it is now time to go all out. So here we are on our second flying lap of Q3. The session is close to a close. We had put in a third place on our first banker time, but you see we're up 3/10 coming out of the last corner, across the line, gained about 3.5. We actually go to P1 on the grid as the session is just about to tick to a close there.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top three today. Verstappen, Oldtimer and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
So there we are. We just got edged by Verstappen. You see there's penalties with a Hamilton and Vettel. You see that little flag pop up plus 5 positions. So there must have been an incident between those two. But we've got a front row starting position.
The air may be thin here in Mexico City. The atmosphere is anything but. The crowd have been chanting and singing, not just this afternoon, but throughout the entire weekend. There's a great love for Formula One here, and no small amount of expectation. Let's hope today's Grand Prix can meet it. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right and the remaining 7 going to the left. And joining me amongst the cheers of the phenomenal Mexican fans, it's Anthony Davidson. And welcome along to this historic circuit. What an occasion this is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe when you see the passion this country has for the sport that Formula One was away from Mexico for so long. It's fantastic to be here, and let's hope that the race lives up to the party atmosphere we've got going. It's a real fast track this. We get up to Monza levels of speed down the main straight thanks to the high altitude here at over 2,000 metres above sea level. And with that comes the challenge of having less downforce in the corners. So that makes it a really demanding circuit, both for the drivers and engineers.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Oldtimer lines up on pole position with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Ricciardo, George Russell and Verstappen, Bottas, Gasly, Stroll and Antonio Giovinazzi, Hamilton, Butler, Sebastian Vettel. They've taken a grid penalty. And Sainz, Raikkonen, Weber, Alexander Albon and Kevin Magnussen. Grosjean and Lando Norris starts from the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Okay, remember to protect the inside on the run down to turn 1. Make yourself as wide as possible, robust but fair.
Well, coming into qualifying, I knew I was going to be having to defend some positions at the start of the race. I didn't expect I would have to be defending from all of them. Verstappen taking a grid penalty moves us into pole position. So you'll see we'll slap on that medium onto soft strategy. Our tires will definitely hang and survive it, so we'll have that nice quick tire at the end of the race. Another unique thing starting this race with my setup is usually my car is very oversteer oriented. The back end kind of wants to slip, but the way the S's are in here, you want to have a car that understeers and the front end is going to lose grip first. Otherwise, your car will just kind of spin out. But you see we get off the line in typical fashion, a little brush with Perez there, but you see cars going 4-5 wide down the main straight. So we've lost a couple of spots and we're just going to kind of tiptoe our way into turn 1, not get sandwiched between Russell and Ricciardo, who are going to fight alongside. So we slip back to 5th position there, but we're getting a good exit off of here. We're going to pull alongside George Russell here. We've got full deployment of the ERS. We're going to get a good run, catch a little slipstream, and we have to dive to the inside of Ricciardo. We're a little later on the brakes, but somehow we managed to not wreck out both of those guys, not lose our front wing on the back of Ricciardo. Just give George Russell a little bit of a nudge as we made that dive to get ourselves 2 positions up into P3. And so now with the heavy fuel loads, it's very ginger on the throttle through these S sections. And you see it's just kind of cutting some of the corners there. It's hard to throw the car left, right, through those S's with all that extra weight of fuel on board. And at this stage, we just kind of have to settle in and keep an eye on behind us, because at the early stages of the race here, Leclerc and Perez in front of us on those soft tires are definitely going to have a pace advantage. while our mediums are kind of coming around to play. So they're going to pick up a little bit of a gap on us, but we're already P3 in the race, and we're just outside of a second, or we're just inside of a second from them. So hopefully when DRS is enabled, we'll be in range to start to attack them. You can see I switched my fuel mix up to the rich mix. I'm trying to burn off as much fuel early on as I can because the car is quick enough on the standard mix. So to burn off that extra about half a lap of fuel, just so that we're running a little lighter for a longer duration of the race there. And you see we fall into about 1.5 back as we've run through a few of the corners there, and they're able to throw those soft tires around a little better. Here we are jumping at lap 9. We finally reeled them in, and now we're getting down DRS past Leclerc, and kind of a carbon copy of lap 1. We go around the outside of one, inside of the other. Little bit of a lockup into the braking zone there, a little bit of a touch with Perez, but we managed to stick it and take over first place on merit there. Those soft tires that they've got are starting to degrade a little bit there. And we are back in the standard fuel mix. You see we've burned down to only about 2/10 of an extra lap of fuel mix. And oh, there's one of our track limits warning, something we're going to have to keep an eye out for through the race. You extend those track limits multiple times and you'll pick up a 3-second penalty. So you got to be careful through those sections. But here we are on merit in the lead of the race and starting to open up a little bit of a gap. And one of the things I did do in the practice sessions is I actually kind of tested where some of those track limits are, so you can kind of run over the curbs in some of them, the straight line, like especially in that stadium section. You can gain a lot of time by kind of straightening out a little bit of that corner. Still keeping tires on the curbs, not fully cutting it, but there are some where if you just get a little over the curbs, you're going to catch a track limits warning there. So definitely have to play it pretty gently and carefully in there. And now it's just a matter of managing the medium tires. We should be just outside the 1 second gap, so we'll let them fight behind us. And you can see in the back that Red Bull looming. Max Verstappen also working his way through the field after his grid drop penalty. So he is now P4 coming up. And I would be very surprised if he didn't have something to say about the results of this race, the championship leader. And now with only about, including this race, 4 races to go, we're in the territory where a good day from Verstappen and a bad day for Hamilton could clinch a championship. So we are just going to try, though, to focus on ourselves. We are definitely out of the championship race, but we are still fighting with Leclerc, who is right behind us, for that P3 on the Drivers' Championship. And then also with the resurgence of Sergio Perez, that Racing Point team, they're catching up to us in the Constructors' Championships, and so threatening our best of the rest position. So we're going to jump ahead lap 13, and you can see different names behind us, Stroll and Weber as the top team cars. The guys running at the front that started on softs have already dove in to their pit stops to finish off. Stroll and Lucas are just kind of extending their stint a little bit here.
One stop left in this strategy. Your pit window will open in 7 laps time.
And here we are 14 laps into the race, and you can see I'm asking Jeff, how soon is my pit stop, because starting to feel the tire dead come on, and you see we're about 35% worn already, and we've still got about 7 laps left before our pit window, so we will still have a little bit of a ways to go. And there you see Leclerc clicking his way through, and Giovinazzi is up there as well. So Verstappen and Giovinazzi are having a pretty good run in the Red Bull so far, as the other starters have dove in for their tire change. But Leclerc looks like he's going for 2-stop. He's still on soft tires, and he's definitely made a pit stop. So started soft.
Behind us is lapping faster than us by around 1 second per lap.
Okay, and there's Jeff saying he's about 2nd a lap faster than us. We got about 20, almost 22-second lead on him, and we will definitely lose most of that in the pit lane there. But Giovinazzi certainly going on the 1-stop. You see he's on the hard tire. He started on some softs, but Leclerc is going to gamble the 2-stop, it looks like, today. And you see just how slow it is coming through that hairpin, and how much I'm having to work the wheel to get those front tires to bite through the corners. With the tire wear is definitely starting to become a significant factor, and they're just entering the stadium section there as we were crossing the start-finish line. So got a little bit of a lead. So hop ahead a little further, lap 18. We're about 2 seconds down on our best lap time. You can see the tires.
Situation. We're good for the time being, but you are going to start to notice
And there it is. Yeah, Jeff telling us to watch the wear. We've been noticing the wear for a few laps, Jeff. I mean, it's been a while that we've been losing some pace. But you can see Verstappen has made his way past as well.
Now, one stop left. Pit window will open in 3 laps time. Pit window opens in 3 laps.
All right, so just got to nurse about another 3 laps on these worn tires. We'll see how far back Leclerc and Verstappen are when they cross the timing line to finish off Sector 1. We'll see if we've still been losing that second a lap or so to Leclerc. 18 back, and then 3 laps ago. So yeah, he's still gaining about a second a lap on us on those soft tires. Verstappen's an extra about 4 seconds back of Leclerc, so we got about 24 seconds behind him. But, you know, I trust Verstappen, and I think Leclerc might even have to dive in once more before even we are making our stop off of our mediums. Now, that being said, the fact that he got off of those softs so quickly is going to give me a little bit of concern, because we're going to have to run about 12 laps or so on those soft tires to really make them work. You know, 17.4 at the last split. So he's starting to reel us in, and we're at about 50% tire wear there, so definitely getting close. Once you get to around the 60-65%, there's a significant cliff in the tire performance. I mean, we're definitely already way down on our best lap times already, but those tires will drop off even more. Right now, the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen is holding pretty steady. So right now, if we were to pit right now, we would definitely come out behind Leclerc. We would probably come out just ahead of Verstappen, and there's our first DNF of the day. Danny Rick, unfortunately, with a mechanical failure, takes him out. No crashing incidents like the last 2 weeks, so it seems to be all right. So we hop ahead a couple more laps. Lap 21 now, Leclerc and Verstappen, and we are in this lap here. You see the little green wrench. So there's Jeff's message, box, box, box. We're about 1.4 down on our best coming through Sector 2 split, but you can see how gentle I'm having to be on the throttle to not spin those rear tires up and lose control of the car there. And now we're going to cut to the inside here, get inside the cone and hit the brakes hard and cross that pit limiter line. Now we get to cruise at a nice about 50 miles an hour coming through the pit lane to come grab the tires. It'll take us to the end of the race. So nice and quick on the tire change there. We'll see who gets by us. And it is Verstappen that comes through. So it looks like Leclerc might have taken a dive into the pits to get his final set of mediums on to take him to the end of the race. So we need to grow while the sun is shining here, use these soft tires, and close this gap down to Verstappen as quick as we can. We are a few seconds back of him, but we are on a much faster and fresher tire, and that's Giovinazzi behind us, so we've got a nice Red Bull sandwich in front and behind us. But as it stands right now, we are probably in our absolute best position for our potential first career race win. You know, coming in Season 2 after taking a car from the very back of the grid in Season 1, made some solid progress, and also been bumping the difficulty up a good chunk as well. It's where we're racing nearly on 100. I think it's at 97 now is what we've moved it to. And there we are, just kind of reeling in. The S sections, we pick up a lot of ground. The soft tires stick very well. We're able to carry a little more speed, and as a result, carrying a little more speed gives us a little extra downforce, which gives us a little extra grip, which allows us to carry a little extra speed. So it's a nice little feedback loop.
And burn some of this energy.
So we are 2.5 seconds back of Verstappen at this stage here. Lap 23 of 36. So yeah, we're going to have to push about another 13 laps on these soft tires. And considering Leclerc has grabbed 2 sets of soft tires in 20 laps, we might be asking a little bit much of these tires. I don't doubt that we'll be able to get past Verstappen at this point. Will we be able to hold him off once our tires start to fall off? Because his hard tires are going to last the race and have almost peak performance the entire end of the race there. But 2.3 seconds back now, just kind of reeled him in by about 2/10 there. But here's where we can really make some ground. Well, obviously, Jeff, I know we're not making another pit stop. I was just talking about that. But you can see the amount of ground and extra pace we're able to carry through the S's compared to what we were doing on the mediums before our pit stop. But you see 1.7. So only 2/10 in the first sector, but in the second sector through all those S's, we picked up about 4 or 5 tenths on him. So it's a pretty significant run. And we got about, as Jeff said, about almost 7 seconds behind us. Eyes are definitely forward on Verstappen, trying to do what we can there. So 1.4, we put in the fastest lap of the race so far. And I think one more lap and we might be able to get in that DRS range and really challenge him. So Hamilton has made his way past Giovinazzi there. He's in third place, so Hamilton's at least making his name known in the championship standings here. Will it be enough? We're only 1.3 down, and again, Sector 1 is where we don't gain that much on the soft versus hard tires. It's mostly 2 big, long straights. But here in Sector 2, and especially the S's here, this is where we really make it. Where did Giovinazzi dive into the pits? Interesting strategy choice. He might have picked up some damage somewhere. Interesting. But yeah, you see just how much ground we made through the S's. Only 6 tenths back now, and then into the stadium. We're really starting to reel them in. We'll see if we can give this crowd something to cheer about coming up soon. But we are going to be in DRS range. Can we get a good exit onto the main straight here? Get the power down early and crank up the ERS. We are flat with our previous best, and Kevin Magnussen has a mechanical failure, another DNF in the race here. So we're catching the slipstream, this long run, 214, 215. As soon as we get out of the air, down to 214 on the brakes around the same time. He's good and late, but the extra grip allows us to go around the outside of him. And since it's both of these DRS zones are connected by the same detection point, we have DRS again to defend against him in the slipstream on us. But we managed to get ourselves into first place once again on merit, making a pass, not picking it just purely on strategy there. But now it is time for us to try, and while we still have these soft tires under us, open up a gap to Verstappen behind us, because I know that Red Bull is super quick, and once our softs start to fall off, he will start to reel us in. So it's time to really create as much of a gap as we can. Here we go into the stadium. Little bit of daylight between us and Verstappen. It's hopefully we can open up enough of a gap, get clear of that 1 second as we come through the DRS detection zone, and keep him from allowing him to open up that rear wing and close up on us. So we'll see as we run through. Does he open that wing up, or is he too far back? Yes, he's just outside of that 1 second range. You see that rear wing closed on Verstappen's car. Not going to be close enough to get DRS. So now is our chance to really put the pedal down and be aggressive and try and open up as much of a gap as we can on these soft tires here. But so far, it's looking good. A good bounce back performance after a tough day in Japan. 2 weeks straight of having to avoid major crashes. Started this race having to avoid a collision, although that would have been our own doing if we had wrecked on that pass on lap 1. But no cars sideways through the corners this time, luckily. But here we are, catching a nice overview as we steam through the S's and really try and gain as much of an advantage as we can. But you see how much gap we've cleared in the S's there. And now the only downside to us running now this slightly lower downforce setup is the more downforce you have, the longer your tires typically last because they slide less. And there is definitely some sliding through the S sections. But we're going to hop ahead. Lap 30 now. Verstappen's about 4.4 seconds back of us. Still, in spitting distance. Leclerc has worked his way up to third on his medium tire. So his two-stop strategy actually seems to have worked out fairly decently this race. So you definitely want to alternate. You can see about 30% on those rear tires. So we're hitting that cliff. You see 7 tenths down of our best lap of the race. So we are definitely in the phase of the race where we're losing tire performance. And we still have 5 laps left to complete to try and race our way to a win. So a lot of it at this stage was just keeping an eye on the timing, every sector split, see where we're gaining, see if we're losing. and just keep pushing as much as we can. So where are we at the split? 4.6, so we've held fairly steady. And now it's not necessarily a matter of where the cliff on the soft tires is, it's where the split of the hard tires catching us is. So we'll hop ahead a few more laps, lap 34, and we have one more hurdle really to this race, and that is clearing this lapped traffic safely. 4.8 seconds is the gap on Verstappen, so we've actually managed to gap him a little more even as our tires are falling off. Only a couple of laps left to go, but Grosjean, the last car running here in 18th. We will be in range of him, I think, down the next straight here to try and make a move and get past him. Now, the blue flags are up, so he does need to concede the position when we get safe enough or close enough, but he doesn't have to compromise his racing line too much. As you see, he holds us up a little out of this corner. Probably could have given us a spot coming down there, but we are much closer this time down. So we will catch some slipstream and try and make our way past him. No DRS, unfortunately, but we are able to be a little bit later on the brakes. And he backs way out coming out of that corner. And we had to take a little bit of evasive action. It was not the best and safest way for him to hand that position back. I mean, obviously he got out of the throttle, got off the racing line, but he did it right as he passed the apex of the corner. And that's just downright dangerous. But now we've got at least a blocker between myself and Verstappen here, so we're going to hop ahead. Final lap of the race. We are entering the stadium for the last time. Confetti, fireworks going off. We've got a nice safe lead. He's just kind of gently tiptoeing the car through the corners here, making sure we don't kick it straight into the wall. You see a little oversteer as we get a little excited on the throttle, but we managed to pick up our first win of our career.
Work. That's P1. Race win. Well done.
And with that, another year of Formula One draws to a close, and the new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. It's a well-deserved victory for Williams then after that breathtaking Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. This also means that there's no catching our leader anymore, and we crown a new World Drivers' Champion. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, I have to give it to Lucas Weber. Cool, calm, collected, a very consistent performance, and one that he can definitely be proud of today.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull pull further ahead in the standings. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So Sergio Perez with the 13th, he must have had like an incident with Leclerc or something to push him that far down the grid. But in case you noticed, the podium ceremony cutscene was superseded by Verstappen's championship winning cutscene. So our first win of our career, and we don't even get to celebrate it on the podium. I might have to just crack some champagne myself and see if I can have my own little podium ceremony there. But let's go talk to Claire for a little bit here.
You took the top points today. Was it a comfortable win?
I mean, it was fairly comfortable. It really was, but I couldn't have done it without the team. I mean, the practice sessions were critical in getting that data for a good run.
Well, looks like your luck has changed. Things went a lot better than last weekend, didn't they?
Oh, definitely a lot better. And I mean, I think the big difference on this one is really just the engine power. We were able to take people on in a straight line, and, you know, that work is definitely paying off.
You're beating all expectations. Would you say we all underestimated you?
I mean, kind of, but the team is more than just the sum of its parts, and, you know, working together is critical.
There was quite a lot of contact today, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was a bit of Rubbins racing situations. I think I gave it as good as I got out there, but, you know, received and gave
everything.
it, so not a bad day. Not a bad day at the office.
Great work this weekend. It was fantastic to see you up on that podium.
Did you see me up on the podium? Because I sure didn't. It's a little disappointing that they took away the podium celebration just because there was a championship winner. But in the end, we do have about 100-point difference to Racing Point behind us with Perez's bad day. So we are in a fairly comfortable spot to hold on tightly to that P4 in the Constructors' Championship. Still now we have a lot of areas to adapt and upgrade. Still quite a few things to get run through. Hopefully we can pick up some good R&D points for the rest of the season, because we still have a considerable number of aero developments to get done, and I don't really want to take a step backwards at the start of the season, especially because I feel like some of the other teams are going to be losing their developments and taking some steps backwards in certain areas, and really give us a chance to start the season, on the front foot, up towards the top of the development chart. But we've got 6 of our 19 aero developments completed. So we got 13 more to go, and let's see, 1, 2, 3 of them are major upgrades, so they're going to be pretty pricey on their own. I would not be surprised if there is a chance that we lose out on some. But as you can see, we follow up our kind of disappointing performance in Japan with a race win here in the closing stages of the season in Mexico. So we now get to head home. We get to go to the USA and have a chance where we took pole last season and defended into turn 1. We just didn't have great race pace, but this year we've got great tire management, and we've had very good race pace, typically moving our way up the field on strategy and tire management. So we'll see if we can turn that into a good result again next week. But thank you all for joining me for the first race win of our career here, and hopefully many more along the way, and we'll shoot for a very good season 3, hopefully, and kind of shoot for the Drivers' Championship and the top spot. But I will catch you guys next time. Peace.